So last week we talked about solving systems of equations by graphing. When we graphed them, where was the solution? The point where the two lines meet, where they intersect, where they cross. So that's one way to solve that, is to graph them and see where they cross. The other way is the substitution method. And we've done something very similar to the substitution method when we were doing some of the problems in the first unit when we were solving equations. So some of this might look a little familiar. So if a basket has 4 apples in it, and you have a basket plus 2 more apples, how many apples do you have?
6.
You have 6 apples. So that is the basic idea behind the substitution method and what we are doing. We are substituting something in for something else. So step 1, we are going to, first of all, in this first equation we have y equals negative 2x plus 5. So let's think about it like this. Y is his name, but he no longer wants to be called y. He wants to be called negative 2x plus 5. But it's the same person because it's equal to each other. That's just his nickname. So in the second equation, he no longer wants to be called y, so we are going to replace y with his new nickname, negative 2x plus 5. So step 1, we are going to substitute negative 2x plus 5 in for y in the second equation. So y told us his new nickname was negative 2x plus 5, and he expects us to call him by his new nickname. So now we have x plus, I'm replacing y with negative 2x plus 5 equals 3. So step 2, we are going to solve for x. So that's just a simple equation. What is the first step going to be? Combine like terms.
Thank you.
So my like terms are x plus negative 2x, and what is that? Negative 1x. Bring down the plus 5 equals 3, and then what do I do next? Subtract 5 from both sides. So negative 1x equals negative 2, and then what? Divide by negative 1. So x equals positive 2. Now, think back to when we graphed. What did this solution look like when we graphed it?
An ordered pair?
An ordered pair. So do you think I'm done here?
No.
No. So step 3, we are going to use the x equals 2 to go back and solve for y. So if I know x equals 2, I can plug it into either equation. You can choose either one to plug in x. I'm going to go ahead and choose this first one, y equals negative 2x plus 5. So I'm going to plug in 2 for x. So y equals negative 2 times 2 plus 5. So y equals negative 4 plus 5, which is 1. So what is the solution?
X.
2, 1. No.
2, 1.
Yeah, 2, 1.
It's an ordered pair. So the solution would be 2, 1, x, y. So 2, 1. The point works algebraically in both equations. Then you know you have the right solution point for both lines. Just like when we were graphing it, we said we should be able to plug in our solution into both of these equations and come out with a true statement. So if I try the first one, y equals negative 2x plus 5, I'm going to plug in the 2, 1. So 1 equals negative 2 times 2 plus 5. So 1 equals negative 4 plus 5, which is 1. So 1 equals 1. Yep, that's true. And let's double check the second one. So x is 2. Y was 1. So 3 equals 3. That is also true. So I know that I have the correct answer. And it's not always going to be y. So in example B, we have x now wants to be known as 3y plus 1. That's his new nickname. So we're replacing x with 3y plus 1 in this second equation. So 3y plus 1 plus 4y equals 15. What do I do next? Combine like terms. What are my like terms?
3y and 4y.
So that gives me 7y plus 1 equals 15. Then what next? Subtract 1 from both sides. So 7y equals 14. And the last step of that one? So y equals 2. And I'm done, right? No. What do I need to do next? I need to find x. So I'm going to plug it in to either of these equations. I'm going to use the first one. X equals 3y plus 1. So I'm plugging in 2. Oops, not for x. For y. So x equals 3 times 2 plus 1, which is 6 plus 1, or 7.
Do you have to check it?
So what is my solution here? 7, 2. Alright, and then in C, I have y equals 2x minus 8. So y now wants to be known as 2x minus 8. So I'm going to plug that in for y. 2x minus 8 equals negative 3x plus 2. What am I going to do first?
Put the x on one side.
I need to get my x's on the same side. So we want to add 3x to both sides. So 5x minus 8 equals 2. And then what do I do? Add 8 to both sides. So 5x equals 10. Divide by 5. So x equals 2. And then what next? Find y. So y equals 2x minus 8. We're going to plug in x for 2 for x. So y equals 2 times 2 minus 8. So that's 4 minus 8, or negative 4. So what is my solution here? 2, negative 4. So try the understanding check at the bottom. So let's check this first one to make sure y'all are on the right track. For A, what are we doing for A? So we're substituting 2x minus 3 in for y. Y is now known as 2x minus 3. So we're replacing the y in the second equation with 2x minus 3. So 3x plus 2x minus 3 equals 12. Yes.
Does it matter what order you put them in?
Like 2x minus 3 plus 3x equals 12?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. So what do I do next? Combine like terms, which would be, so 5x minus 3 equals 12. And then what next? Add 3 to both sides. So 5x equals 15, and then what? So x equals 3. And then what do I do next?
Well, 3 is for that first problem.
So you don't have to plug it in the first one. I just like the first one. So y equals 2x minus 3. So y equals 2 times 3 minus 3. So that would be 6 minus 3, which is 3. So what is my solution? 3, 3. Raise your hand if you got that one right. All right. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. How do you feel about this right now? All right, good. Okay, let's go on to the next one then. So for B, what am I plugging in and where? Plug in negative 2y for x. So negative 2y minus y equals negative 12. So when I combine these two, what do I get? Negative 3y. Don't forget to keep change. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So negative 3y equals negative 12. And then what do I do next? Divide by negative 3. So y equals positive 4.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Why are you putting it for x and not y? Like the substitution.
But for this one, because x was by itself. I can't do, y is not by itself. I'd have to get y by itself first.
Oh, okay.
But you can do any of them. You can do whatever variable you want as long as you get it by itself first.
Okay, let's see.
All right, so we plug this back in. So x equals negative 2y. Plug that in for y. X equals negative 2 times 4, which is, so what is my solution? Negative 8, 4.
Oh.
X, then y. All right, C. So I'm plugging in 6x plus 14 into my second equation for y. So 6x plus 14 equals negative x plus 21. And then what do I do next? Add x to both sides. So 7x plus 14 equals 21. And then subtract 14 from both sides. So 7x equals 7. And then divide both sides by 7. So x equals 1. Plug that back in to either equation. So y equals 6 times 1 plus 14. So y equals 6 plus 14, which is 20. What is my solution? 120. D. What am I plugging in and where? For y. 4x for y. All they did was flip which one was on top. It doesn't matter. So 4x plus 5x equals 18. What do I do next? Combine. So 9x equals 18. Divide both sides by 9. X equals 2. And then what? So I can plug it into either equation. Now I'm going to plug it into the second one because that's easier. So y equals 4 times 2, which is 8. So what is my solution? 2, 8. All right, any questions before we move on? All right. This now adds an extra step. So, step 1, we are still going to substitute 4x plus 11 in for y in the second equation. Copy down your notes.
Wait.
copy down the notes. Does not say the same thing that my paper says, so you did not follow directions.
4 y.
So I'm taking 4x plus 11, putting that in for y. So when I rewrite this second equation, I have negative 6x plus 8 parentheses 4x plus 11 equals 36.
Is the added step just distribute?
So step 2, we are going to distribute and solve for x. So distribute 8 into the parentheses. So I have negative 6x plus 32x plus 88 equals 36. Then I combine like terms. So negative 6x plus 32x is 26x plus 88 equals 36. Subtract 88 from both sides. So 26x equals negative 52. Divide both sides by 26. So x equals negative 2. And step 3 is still use x equals negative 2 to go back and solve for y. So y equals 4x plus 11. Plug in this negative 2. So 4 times negative 2 plus 11. That's negative 8 plus 11, which is 3. Alright, so for A, what am I plugging in and where?
You're plugging in negative 3x plus 6y.
Negative 3x plus 6 for y. So 5x plus 2 times negative 3x plus 6 equals 15. Then what do? Distribute that 2 into the parentheses. So 5x minus 6x plus 12 equals 15. And then combine like terms. So 5x minus 6x is negative 1x plus 12 equals 15. Then what?
You subtract 12.
2 times negative 3 is negative 6.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, subtract 12 from both sides. Negative 1x equals 3. Divide both sides by negative 1. So, x equals negative 3. Plug that back into one of the equations. So, y equals negative 3 times negative 3 plus 6. So y equals positive 9 plus 6, which is 15. So you should have negative 3, 15. Raise your hand if you got that right. All right. B was a little bit trickier. So we are plugging in what for what?
You're plugging in 6y plus 1 for x.
6y plus 1 for x. So 4y minus parentheses 6y plus 1 equals negative 9. So what am I distributing into the parentheses? Negative 1. Make sure you are distributing negative 1 into the parentheses. So 4y minus 6y minus 1 equals negative 9. And then what? Combine like terms. So 4y minus 6y, negative 2y minus 1 equals negative 9. And then add 1 to both sides. So negative 2y equals negative 8. Divide by negative 2. So y equals positive 4. And then plug that back in. So x equals 6y plus 1. Plug that in for 4. So x equals 6 times 4 plus 1. So 24 plus 1 is 25. So your ordered pair should be what?
25, 4.
25, 4. All right, the last one has M and N instead of X and Y. Anytime they use two different letters, you just always keep them in alphabetical order. So basically the M is X and the N is Y. So what am I plugging in for what?
We're plugging in 4m minus 2 for n.
For M minus 2, we are plugging that in for N. So 5M minus 2 times 4M minus 2 equals 22. Distribute the negative 2, so watch your signs. This is going to be 5m minus 8m plus 4 equals 22. And then what? Combine like terms. So negative 3m plus 4 equals 22. And then subtract 4. So negative 3m equals 18. And divide by negative 3. So m equals negative 6. And then we find n. So n equals 4m minus 2. Plug that in for m. So n equals 4 times negative 6 minus 2. So negative 24 minus 2 is negative 26. So what is my ordered pair? Negative 6, negative 26. Raise your hand if you got all three right. All right, good. So there's one last added step. And in this one, the variable is not by itself yet. So X or Y hasn't quite figured out his nickname. He's not sure what he wants to be called yet. So we need to figure it out. It does not matter if you get X or Y by itself. It does not matter which equation you use. Just pick the one that is easiest for you. So step 1 is isolate, which means get by itself a variable in either equation. For this one, I think it would be easiest to get the y by itself and in the second equation, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. So this new equation becomes y equals negative 2x minus 1.
From the top, would you just divide 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the top one I'm going to keep the same. And I got the bottom one to get y by itself. So y is now known as negative 2x minus 1. So step 2, we are going to substitute negative 2x minus 1 in for y in the first equation. So I'm plugging that in. So I get 2 times negative 2x minus 1 equals 6x plus 8. And then step 3, we are going to distribute and solve for x. So that becomes negative 4x minus 2 equals 6x plus 8. Subtract 6x from both sides. So we get negative 10x minus 2 equals 8. Add 2 to both sides. So negative 10x equals 10. And divide both sides by negative 10. So x equals negative 1. Step 4 is still the same. We are going to plug x equals negative 1 into an equation and solve for y. So you can even plug it into the equation when you got y by itself, which is normally the easiest equation to plug it into. So y equals negative 2x minus 1. I'm going to plug in negative 1 for x. So y equals negative 2 times negative 1 minus 1. So that would be y equals 2 minus 1, which is 1. So what is my solution? Negative 1, 1. So the difference here is that you have to get the x or the y by itself first, and then you go through the substitution method. It does not matter. You can do something different from me. You can get x by itself. You can get y by itself. You can choose the first equation, the second equation. It does not matter. So go ahead and do A, B, C, and D at the bottom. What did you get by itself? Y. So you can add 2 to both sides, and if you didn't choose to get y by itself, it's fine, as long as you solved the right thing and got the same answer. So you got y by itself, so y is now negative 2x plus 2. So replace in the second equation with negative 2x plus 2. So 3x minus 17 equals 2 times negative 2x plus 2. Distribute. So 3x minus 17 equals negative 4x plus 4. Then what?
I have a question.
Add 4x to both sides.
Does the number with the variable go in front? So if you subtracted it, would it just be negative? The number with the variable?
So add 17 to both sides. 7x equals 21. Divide both sides by 7. Brian's the only person that did this. So x equals 3. I don't hear anybody else besides Brian.
I did it.
Alright, then plug it back in. So y equals negative 2x plus 2. Plug in x for 3. So y equals negative 2 times 3 plus 2. So y equals 6 plus 2, which is 8. That's not right.
Negative 6 plus 2.
Yep, thank you. Negative 6. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So y equals negative 4. So the ordered pair should be 3, negative 4. B, what'd you get by itself? I got x. You can get y. Make sure you're careful with your signs if you get y by itself. So if you get x by itself, we're going to add y to both sides. So x equals 2 plus y. So we replace x in the second equation with 2 plus y. Stop. 4 times 2 plus y minus 3y equals 11. Distribute. So 8 plus 4y minus 3y equals 11. Combine like terms. 8 plus y equals 11. And subtract 8. So y equals 3.
Okay, I'll start talking now.
And then we are going to go ahead and plug this in. So x equals 2 plus y. Plug in 3 for y. And x equals 2 plus 3, which is 5. So your solution should be 5, 3. You have questions about that one? Okay, I'm going to show you the answers for these last two, and then you can ask me questions on them if you have any questions.
I did them right.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, how did I get them wrong?
Well, look at the work, and if it doesn't match, find where it doesn't match. If you can't find it, or you don't